Hey everyone, my name is Taps, and I know what you're thinking. 100K Todd Batman Veve NFT? That has to be clickbait, or Taps must have a ton of Todds. Nope. I have one, but I plan on buying more whenever this market does correct because of the research that I'm going to share today. I always present information based on due diligence and facts that I find through research, and in this video I'm going to be discussing just how significant the Todd Batman NFT is from Ecomi and Veve, what Gary Vee just said that solidifies this claim, the power of firsts in NFTs, characters, and comics, and how a 100K floor for the Todd Batman could happen sooner than most think. As always, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the community and feel free to subscribe. I'm a crypto, stock, and real estate investor, but never a financial advisor. First, before we get into it, please do not panic sell all your collectibles and then FOMO into 10 Todds. Right now they're at $11,000. And yes, you'd probably be okay long term, in my opinion, but we're bound to see corrections. I think at one point they were up to $13,000. However, I will say at this point, I think it is crucial that every Veve collector and investor has a Todd in their collection. First, we're going to review Todd's significance before I get to the piece that Gary Vee said in exactly why it is so significant to Veve and why a 100K floor is actually reasonable, as it all comes down to the power of firsts. The very first Batman Black and White Series 1, yes, this article is from December, but it was actually dropped in October of 2020. And it was the Batman Black and White Series 1, which did have the common Todd, which was 7,500 editions, first appearance. It was the Joe Madureira, 5,500 editions, first edition. My first collectible I ever bought, Eduardo Riso, 1,750 ultra rare. And the Becky Cloonan, 3,250 rare. First edition, first edition, first edition, first appearance. So all of these were the first on Veve, right? Well, yes and no. They're all part of the first set ever dropped on Veve. And yes, there are different rarities and different edition sizes, but it isn't just the fact that Todd Batman is the first Batman appearance. It's that it's the first minted NFT ever on Veve, forever. Now, most of you already know this, but I'm going to get into just how that significance is going to be way more relevant soon, and why the Todd actually stands out way above the rest, including the Riso, which is the very first one I bought. If you watched my last video, I touched on how more and more influencers and well-known influential figures are jumping into Veve, but we're also going to see more whales, specifically in the NFT and crypto space, hopping in as well, with the move to Immutable X, which is happening in Ethereum-based blockchain. Now, I've been saying this for a while, but I just got solidified proof. Gary Vee set the stage, and shout out to G.I. Joel, and go check out his YouTube channel because congrats for nailing this interview, and listen to what he did bringing up Veve and what Gary Vee says.
The big name right now in the comic book NFT space is Veve Digital Collectibles. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that platform.
Of course. I believe that they're in deeper talks with Immutable.
They're in progress, yeah.
I believe that if that fully goes, and now it's a layer 2 of Ethereum, because blockchains matter. If that hits, if that locks in, and you can really take it from layer 2 to layer 1, I think it really matters. I was waiting to see if they were going to do a blockchain kind of execution more than digital asset execution. I think they're barking up a very good tree with Immutable. And I think that marketplace gets a big lift if they go on, if they get that partnership. That deal makes me go and actually now allocate the 50 hours of homework on Veve.
Blockchains matter. If that happens, that marketplace gets a big lift. If that happens, I go and put 50 hours of homework in. All things that Gary Vee said. And again, shout out to G.I. Joel for bringing up Veve because incredible. One of the most well-known figures in the NFT world just solidified that if we make that move, which we are, to Immutable X, an Ethereum-based solution, we get a big lift and it opens him up to it. That's how so many feel in the NFT world. It isn't just Gary Vee. This move solidifies Veve NFTs as true collectible NFTs that are on an Ethereum-based solution. People will understand, people will get it. Now, why is this significant to Todd? Because Todd may be the first Veve NFT, but we've already seen the power of first with the Veve NFT Spider-Man shooting up because of the first Marvel NFTs. The first Disney NFT shooting up, the first comic, the first stamps, you get it. But Todd Batman is the first NFT as a whole on Veve. It's the origin of the entire platform, the entire company. This is important to the NFT world and how they invest. Case in point, look at CryptoPunks. CryptoPunks are the most valuable by market cap, by price in the entire NFT world, even more so than Bored Ape Yacht Club. Even though they don't really have any utility like a Bored Ape does, simply because they're the most recognized as the first major NFT project. And they've created a whole nother level of status by having one, which is very similar to how Todds are. They've become a status symbol to the point where a floor for one is hundreds of thousands of dollars. And who knows this more than anyone is Gary Vee. In fact, Gary Vee owns 59 CryptoPunks. And yes, all punks have different traits that make each one unique, right? And all Todds look the same. But what have we seen happens in terms of value when it comes to edition numbers? Every single Todd does have a different edition number where we see a higher value if it's a sub 100, if it's a sub 1000. So while they're not apples to apples, we do see lower edition numbers having higher rarity versus the number of traits which make the higher rarity of the CryptoPunks. But Gary didn't buy CryptoPunks when they were at the top peak. He bought them because he understood their significance as the origin, the main popularity and origin of NFTs on Ethereum. And that's exactly what Todd is. So as Veve continues to drop multiple brands and IP, rose to over 20 million active monthly users this year, and breaches $1 billion in sales and is now on Ethereum, one thing will always remain constant, and that is the origin of this monstrous company that will be a household name started with the Todd McFarlane Batman, the first NFT ever minted on Veve. So it holds the most significance. And there's enough of them to the point where they can change hands enough and not reach some crazy level like Donnie's have where no one's really buying and selling them. And that's the NFT world. Now let's take a look at the comic world, because that term first appearance comes from collectibles and comics, and we're going to see more of the comic world hopping directly in based on Comic-Con events that are scheduled and the increased awareness around comic NFTs. That term first appearance is well known in the comic world and where a lot of the value stems from. Right now, when it comes to comics, Marvel Comics #1 is the most valuable comic in Veve. What's funny is if you look at DC Comic or Detective Comics #27, it's actually 3x the price, and this one is specific because it features the first appearance of the legendary Batman. This ties into the fact that David Yu mentioned in the last AMA that we will be seeing another comic brand this year. And it's been so long since we've seen Batman until the recent announcement. Weird. DC Comics are a close second to Marvel Comics, both in sales and popularity. So it's highly likely that that other comic brand that we see coming to Veve is DC Comics, which being announced next would also attract a lot more DC fandom than the Marvel fandom and the Disney fandom that we've seen, which would create a lot more uplift for Batman, including the first NFT, the OG himself, Todd. One other added point is shortly after that video that Gary did with G.I. Joel where they talked about Veve, Gary Vee actually put that interview that he had with Dan Schawbel on his own YouTube channel with 3.6 million. And this interview was months ago, but he chose to now post that on his own channel. It's not often that I actually take time to highlight one NFT collectible specifically on Veve. But we're at a key pivot point in our journey with Veve NFTs. Hearing Gary Vee's take on the immutable move really spelled it out to me that we're about to appeal to a whole new wave of investors and Veve collectors. And the power of firsts is going to apply more than ever. So if you don't have a Todd, I wouldn't ape in at the highs, but I would make it my collecting goal to make sure that I have one for this new incoming wave. If 10,000 2D pixelated punks can become hundreds of thousands of dollars each because of their origin, imagine what will happen to the origin of Veve, the largest NFT platform with over 3.5 million NFTs and growing. $100,000 floor for a Todd will happen. And before you go, no way, Taps. Well, roughly 4 months ago when I grabbed mine, it was $500. And then again, it was $13,000 the other day. So a $100,000 floor for Todds will happen. And it's not going to take a few years thanks to the move to Immutable and having Veve NFTs finally join the rest of the NFT world. As always, I hope you found my content valuable. And if so, please hit the like button and leave a comment down below. The likes and comments appease the algo overlords and help my channel to continue to grow. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button, notification bell for future content. That's it for today. I'm Taps. Thank you for your time, man. Happy trading.